Have you ever wondered if there's an economic system that supports thriving, not just for the few, but for the many? Not just in numbers, but in the lived dignity of each person, the vibrancy of each community, and the accumulating promise of generations. Pause for a second. Think of a world where no effort is wasted, where the rewards of our work gather in the places we call home, where agency, proof, and participation aren't just slogans, but some founding rules. A framework born of an ongoing confluence, a meeting and merging of real human needs, local realities, and a proof driven path to shared abundance. At its heart, confluencism is an economic and social framework built on the idea of confluence. The word itself means flowing together, a joining of currents, traditions, or forces into a more powerful stream, creating an economic system with intentionality, self-reinforcing mechanisms for wealth building, community involvement, and individual agency into a single adaptive system. Unlike models that divide us into winners and losers, workers and owners, confluencism recognizes value as something emergent from honest participation. It insists that systems should prove their worth, reward genuine engagement, and continuously reinvest into their own communities. It's not just a mix of old ideas, it's a convergence designed to adapt and correct itself, always aimed higher for collective flourishing. This isn't about a compromise between polarities, but orchestrating the best in us. Now, I want to start with Pillar 1, human agency and dignity. At the foundation of confluencism lies a truth. Human beings aren't merely a cog in the machine. Each of us carries agency, the ability to choose, to act and shape outcomes, and affirm our own dignity. Confluencism insists that everybody should have a voice in the systems that affect their lives. This differs drastically from the systems that merely think of everybody as producers and or consumers. Here, dignity is not a benevolence. Now, what do I mean by that? Dignity isn't something granted out of kindness, it's something owed. When people are seen as people and not a cog in a machine, systems become more innovative, more effective, and more efficient. Pillar 2, earn participation and reward. Merit. Real, tangible contribution. It's the bedrock of trust and reward in confluencism. Participation here is not cosmetic, nor is reward arbitrary. Instead, both are earned through action. Legacy systems offer participation, but mask structural exclusion through bureaucracy or gatekeeping. In contrast, confluencism's mechanisms are designed with transparency and accessibility. Everyone's input, if productive, is met with some kind of reward, be it influence, decision-making power, economic share, or community standing. This pillar ensures that value creation stays visible, nourished, and always attributed to genuine effort, building trust at all levels of the system. Pillar 3, proof over promises. Trust is precious. In a world with unchecked claims and hollow assurances, confluencism bakes in proof as a core of its promises. Policies, reward, and participation aren't handed out because of who you know, but based on demonstrated proof. Whether you're creating value, or solving a local problem, or proposing a new initiative, your ideas and contributions are verified in real time. Proof in this context isn't just about paperwork. It's measurable contribution, validated results, and transparent records of what works and what doesn't. This pillar curbs the potential for empty promises and discourages rent-seeking. Behavior drains collective wealth. It's a discipline that builds real-time confidence, not in individuals alone, but in systems themselves. Pillar 4. Self-reinforcing value loops. Imagine an economy where each act of value creation creates an opportunity for another, both for individuals and the collective. This is the promise of self-reinforcing value loops, systems that capture the benefit of local productivity and route them back into new projects, skills, and initiatives. Instead of value leaking away or being hoarded by distant interests, these feedback loops turn each gain into a new starting point. Hiring creates more hiring, investment creates more investment, and learning creates more learning. Over time, the system gets stronger because of its own output. And these loops aren't accidental. The community and institutions are both inputs and beneficiaries, closing the circle of value and growth, propelling it upward. Pillar 5. Collective wealth building. The arc of confluentism bends toward broad collective wealth building, not just for the elite, but for the local community. This pillar aligns incentives so that everybody has a stake in the health and stability of the economy. Wealth and confluentism is not accidental or extractive. Community wealth funds, fluctuating ownership model, and equity stakes in businesses keep money local and creates a bubble around cities. Over time, these pools of funds get larger and larger, funding education, infrastructure, innovation, and resilience for the next generation. The dream is not just enough, but thriving for all. This isn't charity, it's smart design. When collective benefit isn't everybody's self-interest, communities become sturdier, more generous, and more ambitious. Pillar 6. Transparent and adaptive design. The final pillar is about creating a system that self-corrects and adapts over time. Transparency is more than open records. It means that designs, rules, and results are always visible, discussable, and improvable by all involved. Adaptivity ensures that conditions or discoveries change, the system pivots, learning from missteps and seizing opportunities, and always moving forward towards better. Unlike rigid doctrines or top-down mandates, adaptive systems honor real-world feedback, inviting everyone in to shape that process. Here, mistakes aren't fatal, they're just data. Corrections aren't punishments, they are growth. It's a living system, controlled by all. It is a bitter truth. In many places, value leaks away from where it was created. Local businesses sell, locals work hard, but profits flow out to distant shareholders, absentee landlords, or international firms. The wealth created by communities dissolves into supply chains and investment structures that give little back. This is wealth leakage, a slow siphoning of prosperity, leaving behind debt, disillusionment, and decay. Over time, it leaves behind once vibrant and resilient cities, turning them into former shells of their older selves. Confluentism closes these leaks by designing systems where value, by default, cycles locally across generations, catalyzing regeneration rather than withdrawal. Ownership structures matter. When control rests in the hands of outsiders, communities become reliant. Their decisions, priorities, and profits are often dictated from afar. Plans for revitalization become pet projects, vulnerable to outside trends, dismissive of local voices. Confluencism replaces outside authoritarianism with local agency, ensuring that those who build and belong also guide and benefit. It responds to the erosion of self-determination with tools that foster stewardship and enduring connection. When profits vanish into global streams, never to return, local services wither, schools struggle, infrastructure cracks, potential lies dormant. Communities become places to leave, not places they long to build. Confluencism's reinvestment mechanics turn this upside down, ensuring that every dollar earned multiple opportunities at home. Paving streets, seeding business, growing wisdom, generational cycles of poverty and stagnation end where sustained local investment begins. Picture yourself waking up in a Confluences city. You walk to a neighborhood cafe where employees are co-owners. You glance at the public dashboard, you see new green spaces being built, being shaped by ongoing resident input. At work, your performance is measured by transparent, direct results. And your voice helps steer the workplace strategy, not just end up being background noise at the workplace. The streets are lively, the schools are well-resourced, public spaces are vibrant and cared for. Across town, someone starts a new cooperative, knowing the system will reward them for their initiative, and that their success will return dividends and pride to all their neighbors. You see new faces coming, old families choosing to stay, young people dream of starting families here, not because they must, but because the place affirms their potential. Mistakes happen, yes, but they're visible, learnable. Nobody is left without recourse, guidance, or a second chance. This is not utopia. It's a system meant to meet us, built to adapt, to replace parts when better ones are found, to keep the whole moving forward. That's not a flaw, that's a feature that keeps it strong. History has given us systems that treat the market as a wild field to exploit, or as a resource to be tightly governed. One path rewards competition, but has exclusionary walls, but often generates structural exclusion. The other aims at equality, but can stifle initiative and flexibility. Some frameworks respond to market abuses by favoring heavy market controls or centralized ownership, enforcing ideals often set from above. Others trust competition to self-correct, but let the spoils flow upward and away, unchecked by embedded accountability. Confluencism refuses this binary. Instead of treating capital as an enemy, it disciplines it. Every enterprise, every institution must answer not to ideology, but to the measured, locally attested proof of value. Where models have rewarded passivity, Confluencism seeds earned participation. Where others have trusted authority or abstraction, it insists on transparent, adaptive feedback. In a Confluences world, the market is not a battlefield or a bureaucracy, but a living system, always tested, always accountable, always growing towards its highest promise. In Confluencism, capital isn't vilified, nor is it allowed to run unexamined. Discipline comes not from top-down command nor abstract trust, but from intentionality and structural competition. Every private entity operates in an environment of open, direct challenge, facing not just other companies, but also cooperatives, community enterprises, or public interest ventures running on Confluences rules. Who reinvests locally? Who proves both innovation and responsibility? If a traditional enterprise fails to meet community value, if traditional enterprises fail to match the community benefit, measured, not claimed, it risks being outcompeted by designs that do. Or faces changes by residents to make those adjustments if necessary. This is structural discipline. Rewards, opportunities, and cultural standing flows to those proven fair. We prove what works in sight of all. Over time, weak actors adapt or fade. Strong actors, whether private, cooperative, or public, are those who earn trust through results. So what might your place, your life, your work feel like, made whole by confluencism? Can you see the faces of those who thrive with you? Can you picture the stories of those told by children who inherit not just your effort, but the fruits of collective purpose? The old ways of dividing us into winners and losers, makers and takers, voices and silences. Confluencism calls for us to instead to trust, to try to hold ourselves and each other accountable to the proof of collective flourishing. This isn't a pitch for utopia, it's a summons to courage and imagination, to participate honestly, reward fairly, foster loops of value, seed community wealth, and steward each system so that one day what flows from us returns to us, enlarged by our mutual care.